great goalkeeper and scored the longest goal in the history of the Premier League. It's fantastic to have you.
And he basically told him, get rid of it. You're not ready to drive that car. In terms of young players, you better earn it. Because if you don't earn it.
I bet you're enjoying Nottingham Forest this season. Are you liking Chris Wood?
Oh, yeah. He shut everybody up, hasn't he?
John Dyche has a punishment wheel.
The wheel of punishment.
That's a great name for it.
Good one. Somebody told me about Glenn Hoddle this week about English coaches are lazy. So, Glenn, you're so wrong, you don't even know what you're talking about, pal.
Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us for another episode. It's No Tippy Tappy Football, and our Sam is here. Hey, Sam.
Natalie, how are you?
Your tan's lasting well, by the way.
Well, I'm glad about that. It'll soon start fading off with this weather, though, won't it?
You'll have another holiday.
So
you'll top it up.
Well, as soon as I can.
No, because we like you when you're here.
Well, I like being here, but sometimes the sun calls me. I need to get the chill out for a bit. But yeah, I'm happy to be back.
And we are happy to have you, and we're very happy to have our guest today as well. Would you like to introduce
Yes,
him?
I mean, he's travelled quite a lot, so which we'll talk about, but obviously, big strapping lad, great goalkeeper, and scored the longest goal in the history of the Premier League when he was playing for Stoke. So I watched it on the way in this morning when it bounced over the goalie's head, which was a bit embarrassing, but welcome to Asmir Begovic. It's fantastic to have you.
Big Sam, thank you. Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.
When I called him Big Sam before, Big Sam said, "Oh, he's bigger than me." Yeah. So you're now the biggest one in the podcast today. Thank you.
Take that.
You'll take it.
That's good.
He's by far the biggest we've had. Even Chris Samba wasn't this big, was he?
How tall are you?
6'6".
6'6".
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, did you go anywhere nice holiday?
Oh, Dubai mad.
Oh,
I am Dubai mad.
Yeah. Good at this time of year. If
you'd been working under me, you'd have gone to Dubai.
I know. I've seen you there a couple of times.
Ask the lads about Dubai.
Yeah.
Ask the Everton lads about Dubai. They'll tell you.
I've seen you there a couple of times.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of Dubai stories on the podcast.
Yeah. Oh,
you can imagine.
They are good. Yes.
Sam mentioned the goal there. I want to ask you about that straight away. What was going through your mind when you did you start thinking, oh my goodness, this might go in?
Honestly, I didn't. I wish I could give you a lot more information and a bigger, in-depth answer, but honestly, nothing much went through my head. It was literally the first kick of the game. The ball came back to me. I cleared my lines. Let's get the team up the pitch, and I caught it well. I did,
Well, that's an understatement.
Yeah, I did catch it well.
One bounce and in,
I did catch it well. The wind did help me a little bit at the Brit, as it normally does. And I think what really did the other goalkeeper was the bounce. So he obviously wet the pitch right before kickoff. So it bounced because I saw Van Dijk and Font just leave it. Oh, it's just going to bounce easily to the goalkeeper. So I'm glad they did and took a wicked bounce and went in. So there you go.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I bet anybody that had you on fantasy football was really happy.
I was popular, very popular in those days in fantasy football. So yeah, absolutely. If anyone had a bet on it, then it would have been even better. Which I don't think anyone did, but anyway.
Is that the only goal you've scored, or
It is the only goal. Yeah.
Well,
that's Sam. Yeah, I mean, it's a goalkeeper. Yes, and one for the record books as well. So, I like to always ask everybody at the start, how do your paths crossed? Do you know each other outside?
I think the way they've crossed, we have not worked together. We haven't worked together.
No, we've never worked together. Obviously played against each other quite a few times.
Yeah.
We are teams. So I think just through the game of football, we've met each other, spoken a couple of times, seen each other in Dubai once or twice. And yeah, just someone, as a manager, I've had a lot of respect for. I mean, I've played on some great managers, and I think what Big Sam's achieved in the game, it's incredible. Really, I don't think he ever gets the credit he deserves.
Very nice, isn't it?
Yeah, there you go. So it's a pleasure to be on with you guys.
I actually have a list of the managers that you've worked under that we're going to go through later.
Okay.
And
there's a lot in there.
There's a few.
It'd be interesting if we're going to put him under pressure and ask him about I don't know about the best one, but the one he enjoyed the most perhaps would be
Yes, that's exactly what I've got written down. Who did you enjoy working with the most? Right, we'll get to that. Because it is a really impressive list there. So currently for you, you're back at Everton, number 2 to Jordan Pickford. I mean, you'll know Jordan Pickford very well.
Very well, yeah.
Yeah. How good is he? What's it like there? The sort of relationship between the goalkeepers.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good relationship. When I first came to Everton 3 years ago, I was in a similar role. I want to compete with Jordan, to push Jordan, and yeah, hopefully help the team. Ultimately, I think if you have competition for places, which we did, we had a really, really good department at that time, led by Alan Kelly, Jordan Pickford, myself, Andy Lonergan, and now it's led by Billy Mercer. So we've got a great group. We work really well together. I do understand my role. I'm there obviously to push and compete with Jordan and the other goalkeepers. Be a little bit of a big brother at times, but also I think just in general, set standards in training, provide a bit of a leadership with and around the team. I think that's really important. I think a lot of young players coming through, so I understand my role, and I embrace the role, and I genuinely have a really good affiliation with the club. The relationship I have with the people, with the staff, with the fans, it's always been a pleasure. It's not the easiest of places to play. I think the fans are incredibly demanding, but it's pressure I really enjoy. Having been at other big clubs, I love that pressure and expectation of the fans, and really looking forward to hopefully getting Everton back up to where really it should, with the new stadium coming. Help move the club forward, really.
I think it just needs a new owner now. I think, it's a shame. Like I said, I'm a big Farhad Moshiri fan, and my experience with him and how much money has been put into Everton. Sadly, far too much of it wasted, but he gave it his best shot. Now the out is Everton making sure they stay in the Premier League for the new stadium, which is probably the biggest selling point of Everton at the moment, especially with the revenue that would generate for the club.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to ask you about this. I've always found in my experience as a manager that the role he has to play when he's talking about all the support he gives, and then this is a massive challenge for when he's needed. So when I've experienced a younger goalkeeper being number 2, and when being called on, because they'd not played in the first team for such a long time, just couldn't handle it. And so it's a massive psychological strength that you have to make sure you're ready if and whenever you're called upon. And an experienced goalkeeper, as Asmir is, I always felt, I don't know whether they accept it, but they'd still like to be playing in the first team, but they get to get themselves ready in case they're needed. And that's so important for the manager, because you never know when it's gonna happen. Goalies in general don't seem to get injured as much as outfield players, but it's a long time sat on that bench, in a season and waiting for opportunity. Because at the end of the day, you are a professional footballer, and great that you're in it, but you want to play if you can. So it's full marks to, I've always said, to the number 2 goalkeeper on his patience, 2 his mental ability to be ready if and when he's called upon.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Sam mentioned the psychological side there. That's what I always think as well when I think about being the backup keeper and all of the responsibilities that you've just mentioned there, and being there day in, day out, and supporting the other keeper. And psychologically, like Sam says there, how do you stay sort of sharp and ready and because if something happens to Jordan Pickford, you're in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a very interesting dynamic. I think the position's not easy. One, psychologically, of course. I think you train, you prepare well. I think you're professional. I think that goes without saying. I think that's a given. But then you're doing that knowing you're probably not going to play on a Saturday. So I think mentally it's really, really difficult. And it's actually, I think the role is suited to someone with a little bit more experience.
Yeah.
I think when you see top level number 2s being in that position at a younger age, it doesn't last very long. Look at the like Ramsdale, I think Kelleher now, Sam Johnston, all these younger goalkeepers. And I did it probably at Chelsea a little bit too early in certain ways. I'm glad I did it for different reasons, but I couldn't understand everything that came with that role. 1, of being disappointed each weekend when you don't play. 2, then really being thrown in the deep end when you have to play. And with experience, it's a lot easier. So I know what to expect. And there's never really a way of being ready. And I think also just on a daily basis, Big Sam, you'll notice as a manager, you have to disappoint and let down the number 2 a lot. Even when you do understand that you're playing cup games, certain competitions, circumstances may change that. And then sometimes even the number 1 gets to play those games. because of the size of the game, the pressure on the manager, whatever the situation may be. So you sometimes even let down even more than you already are, and then you've got to deal with that setback. And I've had it with other managers where some will communicate that a little bit better than others. So many setbacks. It's really a role of setbacks and disappointments at times, even though you play an important role. So it is really difficult, and something that's gotten a lot easier and more acceptable as I've gotten a little bit older and understand, okay, still you play an important role within the team, within the dressing room, within training, and especially at a big club where, every manager, every club wants to have two or three top goalkeepers. And it's impossible to keep everyone happy, but I think the bigger picture is that you have a big role to play, and ultimately it's about the team being successful. So if you do your role well, be a star in your role.
I think it's also another very important person is your goalkeeping coach, because often the relationship between the goalkeeping coach and the player has to be friendly, daddy type, looking after you, because you do a warm up, and then you bring the goalkeepers in when you're doing your session, and then the back with the goalkeeping coach, and the goalkeeping coach goes off quicker, and you rely on your goalkeeping coach so much more than rest of your staff to make sure that he is putting in the right training, but also keeping him on board because he's number two, and making sure that he still feels a big part of the situation, and get the training spot on and keep him ready to physically and mentally to go in. So your goalkeeping coach has a massive part to play in that position. I'm sure you would agree with that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
You're with them every day. I mean, they're a bunch of nutters anyway, I think.
Yeah.
Asmir's coming off exceptionally well.
Oh, thank you. I'm one of those sensible ones. I appreciate that. One of those cliches in football that were crazy.
Yeah.
But that's great that you mentioned the goalkeeper coach. I mean, I know you work with the likes of Martin Margetson a long time, and Jordan loves the two of you, by the way. Absolutely massive fan of both of you.
I love him. I saw him on Gogglebox.
He was on Gogglebox.
Gogglebox.
Okay.
No, we should mention that, shouldn't we? He's not good.
Oh.
Jordan, sorry.
With Tony Bellew.
Told them
both.
Told them both. They're odd.
It was for charity, so that's the only good thing.
Yeah, it was for charity. Very good.
Goalkeeper coach, I couldn't agree more. It's a very small group, so you have one coach really working with 2, 3, 4 maybe goalkeepers. Of course, there's a department throughout the club. So, you have personalities, you have your own personal ego. I understand we all want to play, we all want to feel important. You have your personal pride. And I think it's really important that what they do, the best goalkeeper coaches, without doubt, have the best human relationship with the goalkeepers. So there's technical sides, there's a professional, the physical, everything else. But if you get on a human level in a small group and they're honest, direct with you, and treat you with respect, then I think you have a really good department.
The goalkeeping department does like a tight-knit family with the coaches and with the goalkeepers. I know at Manchester City we have Scott Carson as a third goalkeeper. People cannot speak highly enough of what he does in the changing room and with the players and with the staff, and how he kind of connects everybody. It makes me think though, have you ever been in the clubs where you've been where maybe the goalkeepers haven't got on, or that there hasn't been that sort of unit, and how does that affect everybody?
Yeah, I mean, it's happened once in a high-profile time, which, I can talk a little bit more after football. A lot of stuff happened, and those are...
Don't get yourself in trouble.
Yeah, and that's a miserable existence. Like I said, we work in a really tight group where you have 3 or 4 people on a daily basis. So if someone's not getting along with one person, it's a really miserable existence. And that's why a lot of people... And Big Sam knows it because he knows the game, and football people know it. That goalkeeping dynamic has to be right. People understanding their roles, treating each other with respect. If you don't, it's tough.
I would want my goalkeeping coach or the goalkeeper to come and see me, because I would intervene at that stage and obviously make sure that things are. While you don't have, you can have differences, but you might not like each other. But if you're professional enough to get on and get together and do it that way, that's fine. If it becomes a conflict, or it becomes where it's, because then the person that it's affecting, if called upon, is never going to produce, particularly in goal, is never going to produce what we know he can.
Yeah.
Because he's not happy. He's miserable. He's not looking forward to coming into training. So it's a bit the goalkeeper or the player himself's responsibility to let you know. If you haven't sussed it out yourself as managers, often you probably can't.
It leads me lovely on to a question that I have to ask you, because of course this is No Tippy Tappy Football.
Okay.
How are you finding, or how have you found the kind of what seems like the changing role of the goalkeeper in the playing
Well,
out
he can
from
certainly
the back?
kick it, can't he?
Well, yeah, yes.
He can certainly pass it out from the back. That's for sure. After that goal.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, having been around the professional game for 20 years, it's evolved. Of course, there's different expectations. But I think the pressure and the expectation and the demands on a goalkeeper probably now more higher than ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at the same time, as much as we are more complete, technically, physically than probably before, the bottom line is still you have to keep the ball out of the net. That's the most important quality. So I think the best goalkeepers are still the best shot stoppers, with these added extra qualities that some managers want. And I think I've played where it's been total football. I think it's played a little bit more direct. There's a bit of a mix, a hybrid. As long as it's done with a purpose, it's really important. I think even playing Antonio Conte, who was football throughout, we did it from the back, became so automated. But we were once we broke a certain line, boom, we were at it and super successful with what we did. So it's definitely changed. I think goalkeepers now have developed a lot more. They've taken all those things on board. It presents different challenges, but still not getting away from the most important thing, and that's keeping the ball out of the back of the net.
In terms of you, obviously, career-wise, goalkeepers can go on and on and on and on. I think I mentioned Scott Carson before. He's 39.
He don't look 37 though, does he? He looks.
Oh, thank you.
You know what I mean? He's like, wearing well, as they say.
Yes,
wearing well.
yes. What are you thinking? How many more years would you like to play? And are you already thinking about future after playing?
Yeah, in terms of playing, I don't actually give it that much thought, to be honest. I take it year by year. Really focus on just kind of the now, the present, making the most of it. I think a lot of work goes into staying fit, being ready, training well, performing well. In terms of the training, the preparation, the recovery, everything that goes into it, it really is a full-time gig. So I put a lot of energy in that. Hopefully I can play a few more years, whatever it takes me. If the right challenge is there, if not, it is what it is. You don't take it year by year. And I think in terms of the next step, I have given it thought. I think it'd be foolish not to. I have my own goalkeeping brand, AB1GK, which does products, academies, camps. So we've been going for 5 years, which is pretty cool. So actually my dad runs my one in Germany. So it's a bit of a family thing.
Right.
We've got
Germany. Why Germany?
I grew up in Germany. I spent 6 years as a kid. My parents, when I came to England 20 years ago, they moved back to Germany from Canada. So long story.
So Canada, what's Canada then?
Yeah, so Canada, born in Bosnia.
Bosnia, yeah.
The conflict started. Yeah, moved to Germany first.
Germany, okay.
Then we moved to Canada, and then I came to England, and
it's no wonder you like travelling around then.
Yeah, I've been around.
Early days, he moves in his younger days, and then I think it might help when you move in football, innit? A lot of players, even in this country, they get a headache if they go past Watford. We don't talk about that,
northern,
you know what I mean? So
we don't like to go south of Watford.
No. We're the same. So we're a bit less more likely to travel as much as I think other Europeans do, don't we?
Yeah.
So that's I've been all over the world, that's my accent. Yeah. Mid-Atlantic, as I call it.
Yeah.
A bit of Canadian English.
I thought there was a twang there, Canadian. I was thinking, it's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been on a crazy journey. So after football, I like to stay in goalkeeping. I really enjoy the media side. I've done a bit of punditry, obviously doing things like this. It's a cool experience. Coaching, not so much. I don't know. I don't see it at the moment.
No.
I've done my B licenses, both outfield and goalkeeping.
It was interesting you mentioned there about directors of football and people getting into football that have played football. And obviously this week there was a big news story that broke about Edu leaving Arsenal. He's been the director of football at Arsenal. And I listened to Talk Sport like you do, Sam, and it was like 2 days worth of coverage, Edu leaving Arsenal as director of football, which links lovely into what you were saying about, having more football people, and maybe that's why he's been so successful. I mean, when you hear a director of football leaving, from your experiences, how much is that going to impact Arsenal and Mikel Arteta?
Yeah, I mean, I think it can have an effect. I think one of the best things Edu did, I think he joined Arsenal 5 years ago, and his knowledge of the club and his knowledge of the game was he identified immediately that that's not Arsenal, the way they were operating, the way we were doing certain things, the players they were bringing in, understanding the tradition and history of that football club. So he was able to bring a knowledge of the inside into that position. So, but now they've developed a model. I think the manager's got great strength there, great continuity, which certainly helps a lot. And then of course the ownership give him a lot of backing. So whoever goes into that job now to replace Edu should be coming into a bit of a seamless.
It will also be his relationship with Mikel Arteta.
Yeah,
because he seems a pretty strong character. You know what I mean? So Edu and Arteta, everybody says the relationship were pretty good. You don't have to be friends, but you have to, respect each other. Like you mean, and if you're responsible in bringing in the right players, then the transition should be okay. But on a level of how many times do they get together? I don't know how many times. If I was with my director of football, I'd want to be having a conversation 2 or 3 times a week at least, and see what.
It's funny watching the behind the scenes of Arsenal. A couple of years ago, they did the All or Nothing, and it seemed like every Monday, someone from the ownership or CEO would meet, Edu would meet, Mikel Arteta would meet, and Per Mertesacker would meet, who's the head of the academy, and they would almost discuss what's going on and make a plan. And I think it's that alignment that's really, really important. I think if Edu, he was a top player, moved into this front office role, I think it's a really big success. You look at other players who've done it, some really successful players, and they've built these successful teams and clubs and squads and systems. Hugo Viana now going to Man City. You look at Richard Hughes at Liverpool, who's played the game, Simon Francis at Bournemouth, Dougie Friedman. Paolo Maldini was our director of football at AC Milan, and those people know and a certain intricacies of a team.
Wilcox went to United, did he?
Jason Wilcox, with Dan Ashworth.
Yeah.
So that's a big project. I think having people who've been in the game helps a lot. And I'm sure for Edu, he's made the move for his reasons, and it will have an effect on Arsenal, but it shouldn't be too much.
Did you see the rumours, by the way? I don't know if it's been confirmed, but the rumours going around that he's going to Nottingham Forest to be CEO of the group. Nottingham Forest, eh?
But he owns more than Nottingham Forest, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Olympiacos, Rio Ave.
Yeah.
I bet you're enjoying Nottingham Forest this season. Are you liking Chris Wood?
Oh yeah. He shut everybody up, hasn't he? You know what I mean? Like he's not good enough for the Premier League and all that jargon that's been going around. I mean, he did it with Burnley. You know what I mean? Don't forget, you can't. When you come to Sean Dyche, everybody forgets he took Burnley into Europe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So people seem to forget about that, like you mean. But I think that he's good. Yeah.
Yeah. He's in my fantasy team. He's had him since the start of the season. It's been a touch.
Not too expensive.
Absolute.
Perfect.
Right, he was perfect. I'm well proud of myself. I feel like I scouted him. Let's chat Everton.
Yep.
Let's chat Everton now with the both of you. So, Jarrod Branthwaite obviously had an incredible kind of breakthrough season last season with everything, but he's not back into Everton's starting 11 quite yet. Still, I want to know kind of what your thought is.
It must have been a bad injury, though, was it?
Yeah, he had. I don't know the ins and medical team will give you more, but it's sort of like the groin hernia area.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he did a bit of a procedure and took time.
Oh, he had an operation.
Yeah, I think so. I think there was something, and he's only really been back fit for the last month, and he played a game and then triggered something else. So,
how good can he be though? Because again, I bet you love him, Sam. How good can he be?
Yeah, I think he can be as good as he wants to be. He can go to the absolute top. I remember meeting Jarrod first, 3 years ago, and he was a young player, young pup, and You know,
I think they sent him out on loan.
yeah. So
which turned him from what's he going to be into. Ooh,
really did.
look at this is going to be.
Oh yeah.
Let's get him back. This is a player. Like you mean that's what I think every player should do before the 20. You went out on loan a lot, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. A few loan spells, and Jarrod did that. He was the first year. He was a young player, obviously developing physically, finding his body. Everything that was going on was in and around the club, and he really needed to go somewhere where he could really kick on and get that experience and get that opportunity. And the second year I was there, he went to PSV.
Yeah.
So we didn't see him for a year. No one saw him for a year. Obviously, went to play a lot of games for Ruud van Nistelrooy. Marcel Brands, who used to be the director of football at Everton, was at PSV. So obviously he knew Jarrod really well, gave him the opportunity. And then when I left for QPR, he came back to Everton, and I saw him go into the team. And I've now seen him again this summer, and it's like this grown-up lad.
Yeah.
And he's just developed in every way. And you look at him in training, and top player. Yeah, he'll go to the top.
It was a big surprise that nobody spent the money on him in the summer.
Yes. He was linked, wasn't
he?
he?
As a centre half,
left-footed as well.
Particularly at Man United.
Yep.
You'd have thought that, whoever wanted a centre half who's proven himself to be able to play in the Premier League, and then as the capabilities are getting even better. What is he? 22.
Great age, yeah, early 20s. I think he can go to them.
So you have 5 years
level,
in him at top level, just improving and get even better. You know what I mean? So
you could see him being an England captain at some point.
It's a big miss for a lot of them. I don't know whether anybody bid for him. Did somebody bid and they got turned down?
There was rumours all summer, but
of course you see with Everton's financial problems, somebody thought they could nick him. You know what I mean? It's a bargain buy.
I'm glad we kept him because he's a heck of a player. He's unbelievable. So
you'll need him as the season goes on.
Yeah, great player to have.
What's Everton's aim for this season for you?
Yeah, I think our aim in general is to solidify ourselves in the Premier League. I think it's been a few years of turmoil. There's no getting away from it. I think just to have a good, solid season for us is really, really important. I think we have the squad of players to do it. And really top quality manager, has experience, been there and seen it all. So he leads the way. And I think generally our performances this year have been really good. Just haven't had the points total those performances probably deserve.
Unlike Sean, he's thrown some really big results away, hasn't he? It was two on the trot, wasn't it? 2-0 up twice.
It was unlike us, yeah.
God.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And didn't just draw them, he lost them, didn't he?
It was unlike us, yeah.
Unlike him, as what he does normally, so getting those 2 goals up and anywhere in the Premier League is a great achievement. But it's disappointing for me watching him that he didn't hang on to that, and he didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'd have been. Well, I'm sure he did what he could, and the players should have understood the responsibility that they had. But as a manager, you look at the situation and say, no, I don't need another goal. I just need to stop them scoring.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that didn't happen. And it seemed like panic set in when one went in, and they lost the cool. But I wouldn't have expected that. And they'd be in a much, better position. They'd be mid-table by now.
Yeah.
Keeping that pressure off, because getting around that bottom 3, man.
Oh yeah.
That pressure's relentless when it's it's all you ever hear is the R word.
Oh no.
You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, so that's not ideal. So I think we don't want to find ourselves in that position. We've got a lot of games now coming up. It's getting after this international break coming up, a lot of games. The busy period's going to start, and that's where really it can make or break your season in a way. And hopefully we can really kick on and turn those good performances into 3 points, because we even the likes of Southampton. You talk about those Aston Villa, Bournemouth games.
Yeah. Who's the left-sided player that just came in this year?
Iliman and Dyche.
Yeah,
he's been fantastic for us.
A bit
special player,
doesn't he?
Can make a difference.
He can open the door and start creating and assisting and.
Yeah, he's been great for us. Yeah, both assisting and scoring goals. So I think we've got the squad. It's just about turning those good performances into those wins, and I think we can do that. And plenty of games still to come. So I think we're looking forward to the rest of the season.
So a little football rumour that some people have heard, which both of you might be able to tell, but you'll definitely be able to tell me if it's true or not. Sean Dyche has a punishment wheel, and if you if you do something, he spins his wheel, and then that's how he decides what's going to happen to you.
Yes, no, the wheel does exist.
The wheel of punishment.
That's a great name for it. I don't think we have a name for it. It's happening at a few clubs now. Yeah, it's kind of started over the last few years. I think the one at Burnley was a lot more in depth, shall we call it?
Well, it'd been going for a long time.
Yeah, so that
you know what I mean?
that grew.
It would have been,
that grew some legs, I think. That one.
Yeah.
So ours is actually quite simple, just simple fine at the moment. So we'll see if that progresses over the coming years.
Oh, really? Oh, that's disappointing, because in my head,
I wish I
had it like
by the way,
loads
no
of
crazy
different
forfeits.
segments.
No.
Listen, the one thing players hate is paying the fine. By the way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it does the job.
Wriggle and diggle and wiggle out as much as they possibly.
Yeah, there is a jury.
I'm telling you, the jury. Yeah.
Because in my head, it's like
It's
the Wheel
like
of
the old
Fortune,
I'm glad about that, by the way. Because you try and have a court case in some of the clubs that I go at now, and they thoroughly look at you like, they go, well, I want you to come and defend yourself.
You used to do like a court case.
Yeah, we have a court
There's
case.
a jury. There's.
So there's a couple of players, the judges.
You can.
And not the manager. The players said guilty or not guilty.
Stop.
Pay the fine, like you mean.
You
so
can challenge certain.
It's that challenge. Put your own case forward.
And who was there a prosecutor?
Yeah, somebody would be doing that.
Somebody would be saying he was late.
This
10 times.
Yeah, you were late. This is and now defend yourself. And then the jury would be there, and they'd say.
How was the jury selected?
It's a random five-man jury, so that's why it's on an odd number.
But it's
the majority.
It's a bit like singing when you first join, isn't it? And that's seem to have gone out the window. Like you mean,
That doesn't really happen anymore.
They have to do a 2-minute, in front of all the lads.
So this is a jury is a common football thing?
No, not now.
No,
It used to be quite
No, but if
common.
you have this wheel, most clubs that do have this wheel, and then we had a QPR, had a Bournemouth. There's always a jury. So some offences really. You can't deny, can't argue against. They're a fact. Some are big; they go straight to the manager.
Yeah.
And then there's a few grey ones in between where you might have a case.
What's a grey one like? What would be a grey one?
Well, one, if you get caught doing something that doesn't have a name attached to it.
Okay.
So if you leave a glass on a table,
it
could be anyone. But if someone identifies that person, they have to give you a reason why they've identified that person. Obviously, if it's got your name on it, you're buggered. There's nothing you can do. But if it doesn't have your name on it, you can try and wheel yourself out of it.
I love all that, mate.
And then you have to present a case to the jury.
Love it.
And the majority wins. So the majority will either say it's a spin or
This has blown my
fine.
mind.
Yeah.
It's like putting your kids away properly, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah, so
I mean?
the kit will have your
kit
number.
man,
You can't argue the number.
Kit man,
Right,
you can't leave it on the field, on the training ground. So if you take it off, then you pick it up before you go back. But when you go into a dressing room, and there's the kit man's put like 3 things for tops and socks and shorts, like you mean slips. And they're all on the floor. You know what I mean? You go.
Get the wheel out.
So you get the wheel out then and pay the fine, like you mean.
Who is always on the wheel?
The
What's the
who's
most
late-
goes?
The one who's probably late the most.
Have you got a name for me? Who's had the most wheel goes?
There's always
Oh, that's
me
a
on the
good
wheel.
question, actually. Yeah, I should have probably got this for you. It's quite even. I don't think there's any crazy serial offenders. The boys are pretty good. I think it does the job. It does bring a bit of discipline, making sure you think twice about what's going on. There's a little bit of untidiness at times.
I bet Juffy was on the wheel if you had one.
Juffy, yeah.
He'd have his own wheel, wouldn't he?
Yeah, Juffy.
Thanks so much. That's one of the most fun things I've ever heard on this podcast.
Yeah.
I did not know that there was a football jury. And now I'm picturing so much. I'm wondering as well, if I was a rubbish talker and I knew someone was a good talker, if I could have them represent me. But my mind's gone crazy.
What you really want is self-governance.
Yeah.
That's what you want. You want when the players are in on a daily basis, like you mean, you want them to respect where you are, respect what you do, and there's certain rules that you don't break, like you mean. And if you do, you take your punishment, which has to be done by. It's a small fine. But it's very important, like you mean. Stop it, because if you do it twice, it's doubled.
Yeah.
You do it 3 times, it's trebled. You know what I mean? So don't keep doing it. Take your lesson, but it's very important that it happens. Like, I mean, the only problem is how do the lads pay, because most of them don't come in with any cash now.
So there's a thing now, yeah. So normally it's cash, but I have seen a little one of those card machines now coming in.
For fines?
For fines, yeah.
The manager goes...
So there's usually a fine master at each club. So QPR, we had a great... so we managed the pod, Albert Adoma and myself, and he was... Because it's like a full-time gig, you know. The player has to do it, you know, and...
So you had the fine pot then?
Yeah, so we managed it as captain, and then Albert, we managed it. So we, you know, some of it would go staff tips, some would go charity, team events. We divvy it up properly. But yeah, so you can have the sum up, the little card, contact reader. So you can't get away with it anymore. So you can no cash, but where's your card? There you go.
Oh, your phone, you never get
your phone, yeah, Apple Pay, yeah, there you go.
I used to work for a charity in Manchester, and we used to get a donation every year from Manchester City from the fines. And if I tell you, the year that Mario Balotelli was there was a fruitful year for the charity.
Probably covered him for a while, hasn't it?
Oh, we were like double took the amount of money that came in that year.
Well, I started our fine system on paying for the Dubai trip, because I used to get that much moaning of the directors about how much it costs, and then this started at Bolton and went on from there wherever I went. So it was always about keeping the fines in a separate pot, like you were saying, and not the on-field fines, that goes to the club.
That's different, yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the disciplinary fines, but the stuff where you could keep it, like you mean. So, you know, I've had a few that's contributed quite a lot, like Juffy, Benny McCarthy at Blackburn, like you mean. You know, that was
good one.
You know, he got a round of applause for getting the lads away once. He did that much fine. I won't say how much.
Makes you popular with him.
There is that. It's always a positive.
The lads will get up going, hey,
absolutely.
You know,
thanks, Benny.
Great for team spirit.
Yeah.
There you go.
Been really good. I mean, it's like I mean, at the end of the day, we'd have a five-a-side and finish last man, or the losing team would go through the tunnel. I mean, you don't do that now, because you got slapped and kicked and all sorts and booted if you lost. The tunnel goes through, bang, whoosh.
You still see them now and again.
Yeah, does it happen now and again?
Yeah, it's like the birthday ones. You get a smack on the birthday.
Yeah.
So.
Do you know what? I had all these dead serious football questions written down, but I've way enjoyed that.
There you go.
I've way enjoyed that, but I think people will really have enjoyed that. I'll whiz through some of these football questions I've got, though. So, one of your former clubs, Chelsea.
Yep.
So, they play Arsenal this weekend. God, it seems like it's big game after big game. They currently have 4 registered goalkeepers. So, they have Sanchez, Jorgensen, who they got 25 million for Sanchez, 20 million for Jorgensen, and then Bettinelli and Bergstrom, Bergstrom's in the academy, Bettinelli was free. Given the amount of money that Chelsea spent, were you surprised at all that Sanchez is the number one, given that he wasn't always the number one at Brighton?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously it's been a lot of change, Chelsea, over the last few years, a lot of different managers, people coming in and going. So I think that kind of comes with the territory. Each manager probably wants his group of players, which is just going to happen inevitably. So, Sanchez was brought in by Graham Potter. I think the key relationship there, again, is the goalkeeper coach. I think Ben Roberts, Robert Sanchez worked with at Brighton, came to Chelsea with Graham Potter, and I think he's a big fan of his. I think they work well together. And I think he's given them the opportunity to be at Chelsea and be the number one, and he's taken that role on this year, and he's gone with it. And I think Chelsea have done well as a team, and I think he's contributed well.
Doesn't matter how much you pay for him, Nat.
Yeah.
In the end, doesn't matter how much you pay for him. I mean, they've got £100 million midfielder not playing, haven't they?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, these days I think money is.
You know what I mean?
The rewards
that's
for clubs,
a big thing for you as a coach to deal with. Because the directors will be saying, I don't know the Chelsea directors, of course, because they bought him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody else bought him, but they did with the director of football. So you, as a coach there, you're not responsible for the players buying and selling. So, and you look at him and you go, I can't play him. And they go, well, you're not playing him. He cost us £100 million.
Yeah.
So you've got huge pressure. So you certainly have to get, then the fans start saying why you're not playing him. So it's a massive call when you say, I have to leave him out. He's not as good as him or him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they cost a lot less, perhaps. You know what I mean? But the fans see 100 million, the club spent 100 million. Ooh, what.
Big Sam, I actually think credit to the manager this year. I think Maresca's come in really with a clear vision of what he wants and who he wants to play, making some really tough decisions, and I think it's paid off so far.
Yeah, definitely. One of your other teams, Bournemouth, you played with 46 games with Dominic Solanke.
Okay.
That's the detail for you.
Well, Dominic Solanke, as it surprised me.
Okay.
Yeah, on the fact that he's, how old will he be? 26?
Mid-20s? Is he mid-20s?
Yeah, I would say mid-20s.
Yeah.
It's taken him so long to become a goal scorer. Because it was always the lack of goals which ended up being at Bournemouth, and even in his time at Bournemouth, the first 2 seasons, it wasn't a great goal scoring record until last season.
We smashed it last season.
Well, do you know what? Actually, with Dom having been at Bournemouth with him, I know him from back in the Chelsea days.
Wow.
Yeah, they went to Liverpool, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. So it was the golden generation. Some of the youngsters coming through that academy at that time were fantastic, likes of him, Tammy Abraham, Mason Mount. And he went to Liverpool. And I think when he came to Bournemouth even, I think the best thing that happened to him personally was Bournemouth getting relegated.
Yeah.
Because he never had a run of games where he could really... We talk about those loan spells, and he never really had a loan spell. He never had a run of games where he could play 20, 25, 30 plus games in a season and really develop as a player overall, just of course, his finishing, his hold-up play, his runs, everything like that. So him going down to the championship that year, we remember playing with him, was the best thing that happened to him, because I think he took off. That's when he really started to take the next step and get that trust in himself, be given the number 9 shirt, go for it. And I think that started his development of playing then 3-4 years of regular football. And that's what earned him now to move to Tottenham. So that's again a message for young players, is making sure you get those games, because the longer you keep it, the longer your development's going to wait.
Yeah, and then
that was it. I talked about the same as looking at him and like Dominic Calvert-Lewin when I was at Everton. He was unfortunately was the only centre forward we had at the time, and there was absolutely nothing wrong with his play up to the box, but his goal conversion was just not happening. And then all of a sudden, when he gains more and more experience in the Premier League, and I think probably under Carlo Ancelotti, he became that goal scorer. And I'd say most of that was the forgotten cross, which is the right winger playing on the right and the left winger playing on the left, because the amount of headers he scored from crosses, he was absolutely different class, and still is got a great leap. You know what I mean? And I think it's sort of dying in the game of that. We saw that sort of cross, everybody going on about that cross from Gordon at Newcastle against Arsenal in midweek. You know what I mean? So Uzak header. You know what I mean? I mean, if I was the 2 centre halves would be in all week practicing defending, but it was a fantastic cross and a great header. And that's what Dominic was really good at. And I think maybe Carlo was the one that brought that out of him, because he seemed to score more goals and more goals. And a lot of them was from crosses where he was coming in, not just with his head, but sliding in. And unfortunately, injuries has taken its toll on him, like I mean. But, like Dominic Solanke, you can persevere and they can come and get better and then become what... Harry Kane was very similar. Harry went out on loan 3 or 4 clubs and never looked like that goal scorer he is today.
Yeah. I think the thing for number 9s, in my opinion, what's happened, that we went through a little phase where they were asked to do all these different things. Go on the wing and the winger will come in, and there was all this rotation, different thing. I mean, and there's certain players that could link the play, and Harry Kane's quite good at coming a little bit short and link the play, and he's quite unique in that way. But actually, what best number 9s do, and I think Dom's learned that, both the Doms, Dominic Solanke and Calvert-Lewin, and Haaland does it the best. He's in that middle of the goal. Middle of the goal. Harry Kane, I saw his goal on the weekend. I mean, stay in the middle of the goal, and the lads will find you. Isak's goal. I mean, I know it's an unbelievable ball by Gordon. Middle of the goal, that second 6-yard box, that little box around the penalty spot. stay in there. That's where your bread and butter is. And I think a lot of guys are really getting to that stage now, and that's where they're getting their rewards.
There's a pomo position in the box, you know that.
There's a what?
A pomo.
A pomo? What's a pomo?
What's a pomo?
The position of maximum opportunity.
Oh.
Look at that. Get him back in. Get him back in the game.
No, don't take it from the
Oh, sorry. We can still do it. Yeah, day off. There we go.
Yeah, go in there and find where the pomo is, and then you'll start scoring goals. And a lot of that pomo is not the first phase, but the second, or the tap in, or the being in the right spot, and also being on the move most of the time. You know what I mean? That's. But there is a pomo position.
Oh, I've learned loads today. I've dead enjoyed this episode. We've got questions for you now that our listeners and you on YouTube and on social media have sent in for you. So I'm going to fire some of these off. So
let's do it.
First of all, you've been on record dispelling a lot of pundits' lazy goalkeeper myths and cliches. What are some of the worst, the biggest goalkeeping myths and cliches for you? So thinking things like goalkeepers should never be beaten at the near post.
Yeah, that's number one. That's one I think I've mentioned that a few times. Yeah, of course you don't want to get beaten in those certain situations, but it's not like Bible. Can't say every time a ball goes in your post, it should be saved. So that's one. As you mentioned earlier, not all goalkeepers are crazy.
No, absolutely not.
No, not all goalkeepers are crazy.
You included, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. There's a few of us sensible ones out there. I think another one, especially in goalkeeping, that gets a little bit misunderstood is the top hand, bottom hand, wrong hand.
Yeah.
There's no wrong hand. It's just a different decision that you make based on the trajectory of the ball.
As long as you save it, you mean?
Well, absolutely. Number one, you need to save it.
Tried to change, any goalkeeping coach tried to change the fact that your technique would be good to go. Instead of saving it there, you will save it there. And he goes, no, you should be. Has anybody tried to?
No, there is certain ways of, if you're going more sideways, it makes more sense with the bottom hand. If you're going higher, you can reach further with your top hand. So it's a bottom hand or top hand save. It's not a wrong hand or the right hand save.
The biggest change in goalkeeping coaches, because I was very interested in goalkeeping coaches, I used to like to sit in and watch particularly Marge when he was working, was about the change in positioning. Like you mean, the position of a goalkeeper, the starting position of a goalkeeper, and I talk about starting the positions as defenders, how important it is and how they're not doing it and how they're ball watching. The goalie's starting position is probably 70% of what you need to begin with.
That's where experience comes in, yeah. That's where decision making is a big part of goalkeeper's game.
So you see them lose the cool and dash out, and it's fatal. Whereas if you'd have stayed where you were, you'd have probably saved it. Yeah. So that calm decision making process, rather than that one that's a bit more erratic, is like when you look at it about the position of the goalkeeper, and not just the position but the position of the hands are going about, don't they? Where do you like your where is it should be there? Is it there, here, there, wherever it might be? You know what I mean? The technical side of it, I always found quite interesting how far they sort of went and talked about it, like which then went into the when he was coaching about practicing not just positions, then practicing shots at you, then then deflections and and so on and so forth. It's right. I always found it quite interesting.
It is very interesting, actually. You say that. I think decision making comes with experience. I think seeing the ball more things happening, you can make better decisions and being connected to your team. So if a team plays a little bit higher, that means you have to be a little bit higher. If a team plays lower, then of course maybe that changes your starting position as well. But one thing that has come in the game, Big Sam, is this blocking technique. It's the K block. You see a lot of goalkeepers now go on their knee to make this sort of K shape. Yeah. Which can work if you're really close to the ball, but a lot of goalkeepers now are doing it in shot stopping positions. And they're getting found out. I think a lot of attacking players now will see that, and the ball will go through legs or go around them, and they're not making an attempt to save it. So
I think
that's one technique that's happening.
Saving shots with the feet more now than I've ever seen before. Because like there, it was like you got to get down. If save it, doesn't matter how you save it, does it?
No, but foot save is great if it's intentional.
Yeah.
Because think about me, 6'6", I might not get down as quick as someone who's a little bit shorter. So I can maybe cover a lot of the goal with my feet. But if it's intentional, the foot to the ball, it's fine. But if I'm just blocking and waiting for it to hit me, it's not good from 5 or 6 yards because you can go anywhere and then you can't really react. So that's one position that's being taught too much.
There's something I'm going to ask you before we finish. Like, what do you think about referees allowing the goalkeeper to be blocked off on?
Oh, great question.
Well, how ridiculous is it? Do you think? Because I'm going like this. That's a foul.
Yeah.
It all started. I can't remember which game it was.
I feel
Burnley.
like
Was it sort of like Burnley last year or somewhere? And there's like the goalie's coming out and they're just blocking him off. And I'm going, well, that's a foul.
Yeah, the difficult ones when there's no attempt to play the ball. So a lot of them will block you, and I think a lot of blocking goes on in general. But they'll block a goalkeeper and they'll just hold you and grapple you.
But why is that legal?
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a bit of a stigma.
Why have they changed the rules? Because that's never been legal.
No.
But, because the goalkeeper attempts to come out and you block him off.
Yeah, and sometimes
he's blocking you intentionally running for the ball, like you mean. So
yeah, and there's the bit of
do that outside. If a centre forward runs and I block him off, it's a foul 100% of the time.
It is, and there is some minimal. There's this motion that there's a notion that goalkeepers are more protected than everyone else. Not really, because you have to use our hands. If someone does bang my arm, I can't use.
And that's a foul.
It's
but
a foul.
They don't give that, do they?
No,
they won't give that.
It might not look as much, but it's killing my momentum. So, but there's all these things that are happening.
The ridiculous part about it is that everybody's now twigged on, like we all do. You know what I mean? And you go, right, I'm going to put 4 people on the goalie now. And the lad on the ball has to drop it on the goalie's head every time. And the goalie will never catch it. And it'll drop down. And percentages will tell us we'll score more goals off corners than we did last season. So the goalkeeper's now pushing and shoving and pushing and shoving and shoving and pushing. And you know what I mean? And then you see him pulling. And the referee's like,
they don't really know what to do with it, to be honest.
That's what it feels like.
It needs to be made clear, you see. This is the problem. But it's not made clear.
Yeah.
Again, it's allowed to happen. Why has it been allowed to happen? Because they let one away with it.
Yeah.
Instead of saying we made a mistake, that was a foul. And we all twig on it. It's a bit like when you can stand in an offside position. If you want it, if you could stay in an offside position, if you didn't interfere with the play.
Oh,
so I'd take advantage of that, or used to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
I'd put like 3 players on the 6-yard box when the defence is lining up on the 18-yard box, and they'd be going, "What's that? What?"
But you get this thing a lot, and there was which game was it? Was it I think the Wolves Man City game
with Bernardo Silva?
Yeah, where it's like, well, the ball might be here, but Big Sam's here. Like, I know he's there.
Yeah.
Now the ball might be coming this way. How is he not? I can see he's not invisible. So I always feel like it's got to be clear. Too many gray areas. You're 100% right, and it should be made easier for referees.
Yeah, just make it easier for everyone.
Simple.
Yes. Okay, couple more questions. You've had some big character teammates. We had Neda Manura on a couple of weeks ago when Sam was on holiday, and he talked about playing with Zlatan in the MLS. And he said that Zlatan said to him that he was a Ferrari surrounded by Fiats.
That would be something Zlatan would say.
That's absolutely that.
Yeah. Of course, you've played with Zlatan. You've played with Diego Costa. You've played with Peter Crouch. Like, you've played with some big characters. Yes. Any sort of standout moments? Any funny stories from any of those sort of that stand out to you that sort of demonstrates their characters?
Yeah, I mean, I think from a football point of view, what I respected most about those players and that taught me a lot was they were leaders the same to everyone. So, whether you're a captain like JT was or Zlatan in Milan, they would tell it to you how it is to the most senior players or the youngest player. So they wouldn't treat anyone too differently. And I always found that really incredible. So I think that kind of sets a standard for everyone, where everyone's being held accountable. Everyone takes accountability for their actions, and I think they really send that message across to the whole team. So I think that was something I really picked up from them. Zlatan had a funny story once where we joined in January in Milan, and a young player joined at the end of January, and he was a young lad, came from abroad. I think he was from Belgium. And he came in, no one really knew too much about him, but he came in just to kind of prove his way and build up his talent. He was a very talented player. And the club taxi, the driver would take him in and back from training. But 3 weeks later, this guy, Zlatan, doesn't miss a thing. He doesn't miss a thing. And we're in the dressing room downstairs, and he sits across from me, and the young lad comes in and looks at him. Oh, look at you, new car, have we? New car, yeah? It got this orange Porsche Macan. Wasn't the best looking. I don't know why I got it.
Yeah.
But no one, how does he know this? How does he know this? But maybe the security guys tell him, like, he knows everything. And he basically told him, get rid of it. Yeah, I don't want you seen driving that car. You're not ready to drive that car. Get rid of it. So next week he got rid of the car and got a more simple car. Yeah, didn't want anyone to get too big for his boots. And
except for him. Yeah.
For him, yeah, he put his Ferrari in the CEO's position. That's fine. But in terms of young players, you better earn it, because if you don't earn it, yeah, it was brilliant.
It's like he was actually looking out for him.
In a way, he was looking out for him, but just set a culture in a certain way of not getting too much too soon.
All your physios and all your orthopedics lads that come in part-time who do all the manipulating now, because you've got to have one of those as well as your physios and all that, like you mean, and all the problems that are related down to things. We talk about cars, and we talk about how far lads travel, and they got to go. Don't keep in that car. Get rid of it. Especially if it's like something like a Lamborghini.
The sports cars are not good for your back, are they?
So and if you're travelling quite a way every day, because, you know, like Blackburn, for instance, everybody lived in South Manchester, you know, every day, and you're going. So they went as far as saying, like, look, it's not good for your back, like, you know, but it's hard work to tell them they've just bought one and then they've paid 100 grand for it and say you should get rid of that.
For your back.
You hope it's leased. You hope it's leased.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's a difficult job, like I mean, but it is something a bit like mattresses,
details.
isn't it? Yeah. You know, mattresses are so important for sleep for players and that now. You know that we
everybody,
got everybody a mattress that suited them when in the Bolton days on sleep deprivation and how important it is. So we go a long distance for the benefit of the players. Like that's why we hope we can reap the reward and they appreciate it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's the 1%, right?
Correct.
Yes, yeah. Okay, I've got one more question for you and then the final question is about your managers.
Okay.
So a few questions came in about QPR. Of course, you were the number one there last season. And last season they did well. They did well in the end last season. This season it started difficult for QPR. They're sitting, I think it's second bottom at the minute. Given how well last season went in the end, did you expect them to struggle this year? Is it a surprise?
No, I didn't. Yeah, it was an odd situation really. You know, I joined QPR last summer. The people at Everton were fantastic. Just I gotta mention them. Offered me a new contract, and I said, listen, even to the gaffer, I feel like I still need to go and play. I couldn't, that number 2 role, I felt way too good physically, and I want to go and play. Obviously, my family were down there, so it was a really good fit for me. QPR gave me the opportunity, and I was really honest about it. And they wanted to bring a few more experienced players in to help build that culture. It's been a tough few years for QPR, which is incredible. Great fan base, incredible location. Just a really nice history of the club. So a really good club to play for, but they have been struggling. So we wanted to bring a few senior players in to try and change that, and they managed to do that. We had a tough start, but always sort of knowing we had the character, we had the people in the dressing room that, you know, we can get on a run. We can really turn this around. And then a new manager came and he put it all together for us. And we had a really unbelievable second half of the season. I think from the day he took over to the end of the season, we were 9th if the season had started then. With a couple of strange results.
Who was the manager? Sorry.
So it was a Spanish coach, Marty Cifuentes.
Right.
He came in and he put everyone together. I think the team grew, everyone grew together, and we had a really good second half of the season. We're thinking, okay, well, if we can keep this solid core together with the manager, we can kick on next year. But obviously, the CEO people in the club had different ideas, and they managed budgets and wanted people to take certain contracts, which lads didn't want to take, and you know they thought they could get better for cheaper, and that's why a few of the lads left. And I think if you look at the team that was second half of the season there to now, a lot of change. So many players have left, and you know obviously it's going to take a bit of time for them all to gel together once again.
Great. Thank you.
Fingers crossed to get out of the situation. Yeah.
It got us tight down there in that Championship. Right. So the last question I've got for you, although it's a long one, it's about the managers. Oh, this is a list, Sam. This is a list.
He's not going to tell us to. He can't just say what you think you should or say, I'm not going to answer that.
Okay,
because
no, I'm nice.
You are
nice.
a Everton,
No, I'm sure
she's going to ask you who the best manager was you played under.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't. You got to say Sean Dyche.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
No, it's nice. All I'm going to say is I'm going to give you the name of the manager, and we just like one word from you to describe them, your experience with them.
One. I like that. Well,
okay, and it's a good list, and we've had some. So we've had Mark Hughes on to start.
I want to say, yeah, important for me. He was like the word really important. I think he took our Stoke team and took my game, I think, to a different level, which obviously allowed me to go to a top club. So yeah, it's really good, and still speak to him today. So he was very important.
Love that. Important. Tony Pulis, who we've had on. Yes.
Yeah, Tony. Yeah.
Hero. Yeah, I absolutely love. I love Tony. Again, I owe him a lot. I mean, we still speak. He messaged me the other day, to be honest, and he took me as a young kid and really gave me the opportunity. I started to play in the Premier League, and you obviously saw the potential with an assistant manager who was actually my youth team coach at Portsmouth back in the day, and he gave me the opportunity to play Premier League football, and he created a team and a culture where it was character first, the togetherness we had, what we achieved, and I think because we overachieved for so many years, really. And you probably remember
that, yeah.
Bolton, Blackburn, what you've done.
Same time, yeah.
What you guys achieved, what we all achieved, and now it set crazy standards. And he was the starter of that. But I owe a lot to him because he gave me that opportunity. So I'll say hero.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, Gus Hiddink.
Gentleman. Really nice guy, actually. A funny story with him. I was signed by Mourinho. Things didn't work out 4 or 5 months later. But it was always the understanding that I was playing cup games and certain things, and
good
Gus,
answers these, man.
Yeah, and Gus came in. Gus came in just before Christmas. I remember playing the third round of the FA Cup. We went through. Thibaut Courtois played in a few games in between, and then the next round of the FA Cup came. And on Friday, I see I'm not playing. What's going on here? I was like, no, I don't know. I just picked a team. I didn't, and then I swear I should be playing these games. We won the game, beating Milton Keynes, I remember. And on the Monday, he pulled me. He said, I didn't know what's going on. I said, well, that's sort of the understanding. And he said, listen, I apologize, whatever happened, but I just picked a team. No hard feelings. But 2 months later, I worked really hard in training, and he pulled Thibaut out of a league match and gave me the chance to play. And he actually pulled us both over and said it in front of everyone. And so it was nice. I gained his respect, and but he was a gentleman about it, and actually top man.
Did you win?
I think we drew.
Right.
So it was okay.
You mentioned Jose Mourinho there. So Jose Mourinho?
Top. Just his attention to detail. Shame we couldn't work longer together. Obviously, again, super grateful. For him to bring me to a club like Chelsea was, I'm very grateful for that. And what he's achieved in the game is incredible. So, yeah, top.
This list, Rafa Benitez.
What can I say? Mister. I always call them Mister as the gaffer in Spanish. Again, grateful to him to bring me to Everton and show that trust in me and wanted me to be part of that, the squad. Didn't work out. For different reasons. Results ultimately couldn't get enough results for him.
And he's passed.
Probably that didn't help.
Well, yeah.
His past didn't help.
No, that didn't help.
Liverpool.
Yeah,
it wouldn't help.
Not ideal.
Okay, Antonio Conte.
Winner. We won again. It was a man of super intensity in his work and how he went about his business.
Were you in goal when I was at Palace?
It might have been, yeah.
With Antonio. I can tell you that because we won 2-1.
No. That was Mourinho.
Was that? No, it wasn't.
Was it?
Antonio
No, it was
Conte.
Antonio. Yeah, you beat us second half.
Yeah, you won the league that year.
We won the league, yeah.
Yeah.
We beat you before
were there
Christmas. Then? Yeah.
All right.
You did. Yeah, we had
I
a
remember
You
that.
scat one in then, like, yeah.
You did.
Yeah.
I was
And then we
deserved,
beat.
but
It was the first game they lost at home since the start of the season.
Honestly, we went on a crazy run. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Liverpool beat us early in the year at home.
Played with nobody up front.
Yeah.
Didn't play one player up front.
Wow.
Just played them out in the wider.
Did good. Yeah, good memory. So
Remembers that.
Well, you don't forget that one, do you?
Yeah.
no, we had a great season.
Tell you another man. The only manager to win at Chelsea with 3 different clubs.
You with 3 different clubs.
We didn't like playing Sam, did we?
Yeah.
So yeah, he's a winner. Honestly, we won the league and should have won a double that year. Lost in the final to Arsenal, but yeah, winner.
Roy Keane.
Roy Keane. One word. Yeah, intense.
Yeah. Good word.
I love playing for him.
Ipswich, was it?
I love playing for him. It was only 6 games. I was recalled by Portsmouth. Then I went into the Premier League team, and the rest is history. But he brought me in. Difficult start to the season for them. Hadn't won a game. Bottom 3. But a great club, and he was just super, super intense, demanding of his players. Because he was such a great player, I think he put those demands on everyone, and everyone could cope with it. So having him, and he gave me a chance. 6 games unbeaten. And yeah, called me in one Monday morning, said, got some very bad news. I'm like, oh no, what's happening? Yeah, you've been recalled. So he was gutted that I had to leave, and we shook hands, really, really positive, and I actually quite enjoyed working for him.
Intense, great word. Great word.
Undefeated.
Yeah, no, he was. Yeah, it wasn't nice for him, and it's a shame.
Right, 4 left. Avram Grant.
What's one word?
Mysterious.
Mysterious, yeah. He came in. It's a great word, yeah. There you go. It was the first time at Portsmouth, technical director, something. And then he was, my manager for a bit. Obviously, when I came back to Pompey and kicked on. So, again, he had the trust to play me as a young goalkeeper. I had to believe, which was nice.
Jason Tyndall.
Jason Tyndall. Lively. Good.
Lively,
yeah. Got some great gear. He was honestly really good. Yeah, on the sideline, he was set a standard really, really high.
Very good.
But yeah, put me to play in the Bournemouth team, and we had a good run. Then injuries hit us. Couldn't keep some players fit, and of course, the ruthless side of the business. He was let go, but yeah, he was also a good manager to play for.
Okay, last 2. Frank Lampard.
Legend. Yeah. Just enjoy work for him. And he let me down a couple of times. He let me down and talk about the number 2 thing. We had a couple of really difficult conversations. One of the first ones was I played it again. This number 2 playing in the cup role. I played in the previous round. We beat Hull. Of course, Frank's first game in charge against Brentford in the FA Cup. It's like, I want to play the strongest team. I want to play everyone because we're going to play again midweek, get a rhythm going. Really apologize for not playing you, and I hope you understand and everything else. And I was like, no, listen, you're no problems. Thank you for telling me. And did another time the year after the cup. So, but he was really good about it and honest about what the situation was and politics and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's just an absolute legend.
Okay, last one, and with Sam's advice in your head, Sean Dyche.
Gaffer. Yeah, he's the boss. Yeah, he's the boss. Yeah, he's the boss.
He's the manager.
He's the manager. To be fair, really enjoying working with him, and that's one of the reasons I came back to work with him. Not only him, his coaching staff, Ian Moan, Steve Stone, just no nonsense. Tell you how it is. Get on with your work. Billy Mercer, goalkeeper coach, and I quite like that. So it's nice to work for them.
And then my very last question for you on the podcast: who have you enjoyed working with the most?
Yeah, I'm gonna go to Tony Pulis.
Oh,
just honestly because he knows how important it was. Again, to buy a goalkeeper those days for at 21, 2, whatever it was, spent a few £1 million and to let me kick on in the Premier League and make a career for myself. That meant a lot. So yeah, we were a good relationship.
I love that, and it keeps it in the No Tippy Tappy family as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Asmir, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Big Sam.
Thanks for coming. And we'll see you next week, or isn't it? Is it not?
Yes.
Is it?
Are we here next week?
I don't know.
International
break? No.
We might be here next week, if not, it'll be 2 weeks. No, we're not here. It's international break. Thank you.
So I just want to finish with this because it's not. If this is right, this is not nice. By the way, I can say this is because this is my Pike, and I don't know how true this is, but somebody told me about Glenn Hoddle saying this week about English coaches are lazy. So Glenn, you're so wrong. You don't even know what you're talking about, pal. So you haven't been involved with it for however long or however long you've been. You've never been involved with it as coaches. I am all the time with the LMA. Come and watch. Come and see for yourself how good they are. Cheers. Thank you.
Yes, it's your podcast, Sam. You can say what you want. Thank you for your time. Thank you. Thank you all for watching No Tippy Tappy Football.